That Rakesh is here and is going to do this. That was the motivation for me to also come. So almost everything I know I learned from Rakesh. And so when we got here, we were all in a hurry. I wanted to do this and catch another appointment. He also wanted to do this and catch another appointment. But each one did not want to be impolite to leave another here. So this is a compromise. Somehow we have to reorganize your program so that we can speak here together at the stage. So it's good to be here, and we're going to have. I'm going to speak briefly, and then we can talk about almost everything and anything about Dar es Salaam. So for me, there are 5-6 issues that are critical for the well-being of the city, Dar es Salaam. Transport, security, water and sanitation, jobs, and governance, the way the city is governed. And of course, housing and energy. So I'll talk a bit about transport, traffic. Almost everyone in Dar es Salaam is a victim of traffic congestion. It's a source of complaint, and it's a source of economic stagnation. Traffic and congestion cost our economy about 4 billion shillings a day. And if you take a total over a year, it's more than the budget of Ministry of Health, Ministry of Water, our ministry, and many others. It comes to 1.4 trillion shillings per year. That's not a small change. Dar es Salaam, as you know, contributes about 16 to 18% of GDP. It's home to 11% of our population, and about 50% of government revenue. So if Dar es Salaam is in a gridlock, our economy is in a gridlock. So Dar es Salaam has to work for our economy to be thriving. So if you take the shape of Dar es Salaam, because what really influences traffic? What influences traffic is services, stuff that people go to, plus the structural shape of the city. And the structural shape of the city of Dar es Salaam mirrors the shape of the country, in the sense that Dar es Salaam has always been a center to a huge periphery. Back in the days, during the colonial economy, even before that, every road led towards Dar es Salaam. And afterwards, when we built rails and roads, every road led to Dar es Salaam. And if you look at the shape of the city of Dar es Salaam, every road leads into the city center, Dar es Salaam. And there are 4 main corridors of movement of people towards Dar es Salaam. You have this corridor that comes from Bagamoyo, and another one from Kuranga. These are main arteries towards the city. So different cities grow differently. Some cities don't grow in size, but grow in number of people, because people fill in the gaps. They somehow redesign the way they live. But Dar es Salaam expand outwardly, so you have a huge sprawl, Dar es Salaam sprawl. And in the next 10, 15, 20 years, Bagamoyo, Kibaha, Sarawe, and Kuranga will be part of the city of Dar es Salaam. These are districts in the coast region. They're not part of the Dar es Salaam regions. But people in Kibaha will tell you that we are already connected. It's already one city, Dar es Salaam and Kibaha. And soon, Bagamoyo will be part of Dar es Salaam, and Kuranga as well, and Kisarawe. except for that forest between Dar es Salaam and Kisarawe. So the way we move in Dar es Salaam, we have to think about the way we are going to move all these people in the next 10 to 30 years. And if you feel that Dar es Salaam is congested now, wait the next 10 to 20 years. So there are different solutions to this, because we're here also to talk about solutions. The one that we are seeing now is expansion of the existing roads, flyovers, and rapid transit, rapid transit. But these are good solutions, but they are short-term solutions. So what would work in Dar es Salaam for the next 10, 15, 20 years? And in fact, as you know, 12 years from now, Dar es Salaam will have 10 million people. It will be officially a mega city. And 12 years from now, Tanzania will hit that important mark, important milestone, where 50% of people will be living in urban areas. Now, Tanzania, they call it a rural country, and it's very romantic. Tanzania, majority live in the rural areas, and so it's a very good political thing to say. But 2027 will hit a mark where 50% of Tanzanians will be living in the cities. So cities have to work. Cities have to work for our country to work. So what other countries have been doing about transport, moving people in and out of cities? And I know most of you have seen difficulties of people moving. You just need to pass by a Dala stop, 7 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and see huge number of people, from small children, young men, to women. And also, look at the Dala stops in the evening, 5, 6, 7. Kids as young as 7, 8, 9. They leave home at 5, they go back home at 9, 10, because of how we move. People spend 4, 5 hours on traffic. And so, does anybody know how many cars, private cars in Dar es Salaam? 120,000. And what percentage of people do those cars carry? The percentage of people that move every day? 6%. So the majority of our roads are filled with cars that carry the least amount of people that need transport. Dalas. They carry about 43% of people who need transport. So a huge 52% of people either walk or take bajaj or pikipiki, bodaboda. So you can expand the road as wider as you want. And this is only 6%. So if you get to 10%, all the expansions that you have done with billions and billions of shillings will be useless, because the roads will be congested again. So my idea, what should we do? We're discussing with, we're in a pre-discussion with Rakesh, and we'll talk about his idea. But I think in many cities, train, particularly light rail, has been a solution. So what I propose is to build 4 main lines plus the connecting arteries. So one train would start from Bagamoyo and will have many major stops along the way. up to Mikocheni. Another should start in Kibaha up to Bungo or Manzese. Another from Kisarawe up to Main Central Station. Another one from Kuranga, Kurasini connecting to Kamata with the line.
Remember all the things he promises, because if he becomes president, we have to use that to He'll probably give me the job of delivering on his impossible promises, and then firing me when they don't come through. But before that, I think January represents a way of thinking, a way of grappling with challenges that we need for solving big problems we face in America. And what I love about this initiative, Dare to Change DAR, is that it dares to say, here are big things that we can make a big difference on. I think we have a lot of efforts, a lot of plans and programs and people and projects, and they don't deliver much because I think our whole attitude, our whole approach to how we think about that is often so dull. It lacks a sharpness, it lacks a creativity, it lacks a kind of rigor that we need. So what I want to speak about with you is less about any particular issue, but more about the kind of mwelekeo that we need. And I want to suggest 3 ideas at a very broad level and hope we can get concrete during the Q&A and discussion. The first is that how we think matters. One of the things that makes me really angry about our country is that when we talk about education, people don't understand that the most important thing in education is about how we think. Tunafikiri kwamba elimu ni cheti. And the problem is not only the systems and the minister and the curriculum, it is even ourselves. I've met many university students who say, I'm just there to get my check. As soon as I get my degree, bas. They are not curious, they don't want to really sharpen their thinking. This kind of deso culture that we see. We want just the easy way out. There's a kind of laziness built into that. We have to challenge ourselves. We have to look in the mirror around that laziness. So what does it mean to say that ideas matter? The first thing that matters is we need to be able to interrogate. When I came in, it was really nice to see an idea being presented about sanitation, but I think it was the judges asking questions. How have you done your costing? What about this assumption? How did you come up with this thing? Why do you think this and this will add up to that? That kind of kuhoji, kuchambua, to really critically analyze and ask questions, that skill is really important. And it's hard, it's not easy. There's no kind of formula you just apply. It really means you have to think hard and you have to make judgments. And that's the quality we need. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen so much in our schools, in our universities. It doesn't happen in our development thinking, it doesn't happen in our government, it doesn't happen in our NGOs. So the most important thing I think is, do we have that critical thinking posture of interrogating ideas? Linked very closely to that is a respect for clear thinking. Sio tu kwamba mawazo yako na hiyo ndio mawazo yangu and then everything goes. Or kind of ushabik. You know, we have too much, people say something and you cheer, yeah, I want that guy because he happens to be from my party or happens to be my classmate or happens to be just somebody I cheer for. That's not the basis we should cheer for. It should be based on the clarity of the thought. For example, evidence. How do we use evidence? How do we interrogate evidence? The very good example January gave about traffic. We all suffer from traffic, and the poor people suffer more. January and I also suffer from traffic, but we have cars where we are comfortably seated and we can turn on the air conditioning. The people in the daladalas don't have that option. And so the poorest suffer the most. And yet when we come up with the solutions, is our thinking sharp enough? When we talk about the flyovers or who designed the BRT rapid bus transport. What is it? How many of us here in this room have asked the question, what is the evidence that makes us think? What is the basis of the thinking that that is the solution? Tunajuaje kwamba hiyo itasaidia? We often say, as January pointed out, that if we just build more roads, if you look at the, I'm no expert on traffic, but I think the evidence is pretty obvious, even if you just do very simple research, that all over the world, if you build roads, they will be filled. If the cars only supply 6% of the transport 6%, you double the roads, okay, you might get 12%. But that isn't good. And in fact, it's not the roads, it's the bottlenecks. You can have the biggest roads, but once you get to Salanda Bridge, how are you going to cross that? And all the other choke points. We are not the only country that has had traffic problems. Others have. How have they solved it? Tuna ile uchachu wa kutaka kufahamu wenzetu wamefanyaje. One of the things I've learned, again I'm no expert, is that many of the cities that have solved this problem have used something called the congestion fee, where you say that during the peak hours, asubuhi kwa mfano kuingia ndani ya jini, you charge a fee for a private car. And in fact, if that car only has 2 people in it, or one driver in the back, you charge more. By simply saying, if you come into the city between say 6:30 and 9:30,